getting very close to finishing up our 4-H landscape design project. And I went ahead and finished filling in the lawn area, rendering that with the green and yellow blend. And the only thing left we have to do is to do our planting beds. And so I'm going to go ahead and erase. So basically we have a couple in the front and then more in the back there. I'm going to go ahead and erase the text to do that. If you recall from our earlier exercises, we had looked at some strategies for color use and some color blending strategies as well. And so we're basically going to begin to place plants and apply these same strategies that we used before. And so again, just a reminder, we're going at 45 degrees. We're primarily using these color groups, starting with the lighter color and then blending those up. So we'll continue that idea. And so again, for this project, this exercise, I'm going to use the pencil, the felt tip pen. I'm going to use a circle template. I also might use, if you don't have a circle template, you could use a Coke lid or a penny or a dime or buttons, just to trace the circles to make it easier and faster. You need about three or four different sizes. And so to start with, let's begin to think about our front yard here. So we come in the driveway, walk over to the front door. We have lawn here. We need some plantings here and here. Primarily, we want to do these in groupings. And so if we think about this, maybe we have a bigger tree here, some smaller plants in this location, and then some more accent plants here, but maybe a bigger tree in that area. So I'm going to it's not a bigger tree, it's kind of a small tree, but still in that area there. I'm going to put a circle there, and then it's a smaller grouping over here, and kind of good to offset some of those groupings. So you can see what I did here. So I have the big one here, a group there, then I'll wrap a group there and put a couple there as well. One thing to do as you're thinking about using plants, it's good to repeat the use of plants. And so here I might use the same plant on two sides of the driveway. You could do that in the back and kind of find a place to repeat them that makes sense. And I'll do a row wrapping around this side. I'll do a row over here. These are going to be a little smaller. And then kind of filling in here. And so at this point in time, we don't, you probably don't know enough about the plants to pick specific plants. We're just kind of thinking of groupings and massings of color. And so if you want to think of specific plants, that's fine too. All right, so we have that front area kind of filled out. We can glance at some of our symbols. If we want to use some of these symbols we already used, we could use other symbols as well. I'm going to get my Sharpie. We're just going to work on the front lawn. So I'm going to start with this kind of meandering edge grouping, and I'm going to use that on some of these smaller ones here. I'm just going to go right over my pencil, kind of meander this edge around the circle. Again, I'm not filling through, putting dots in the middle. I'm going to repeat that same thing over here. Your decisions, of course, would be different because your design's different than mine. But you can kind of get a feel for how I'm doing it and then make your own judgments. There we go. So maybe that's a repeating of the same thing. And let's repeat that there and there. All right. Another symbol, there's lots of different symbols. We can use this with the scalloped edge, which is, if you remember, either this or this as we go around. And I'll go ahead and scallop these with the M's. We're just making our way around the edge. Again, kind of making them groups, not individuals if we've grouped them together and overlapped them. This one we'll use the accordion technique that we did before. And just zigzag back and forth around the edge. Once you have those circles down, you can make good time. Accordion technique there. So those might be the same thing. And let's repeat that over here. Accordion, back and forth, zigzagging, kind of sharp, and fill that in. And then that's most of our front. We have one more in the front. Let's use this symbol here of the more specimen small tree symbol. So from that, we're going to again work our way out, adding a few branches. If we go past the line, that's fine. If we come up short of the line, that's okay too. There we go. And then we're going to, around the trunk, make it a little bit thicker around the trunk. Add a little detail there. And then we're going to put some tiny bubbles, little circles, and a few dots in. Okay, and that's our front yard. We would then going to come back and do some of these rendering techniques. We can mix them up. We don't have to use these exact ones that we used before, but we can use this color. I'm going to use this color group as a main one. Yellow, light green, and darker green. And I'm going to start with the yellow and just fill in this shape here for this group. And then I'm going to come back on the outside with the darker green and kind of do these little moon shapes, these half moon shapes. And let me blend across with the lighter green. You could blend those together with yellow as well. And come back. These smaller ones are, actually just come back and blend them with the yellow. These smaller ones are harder to do with 3 colors. And we'll do the same thing right here. These are the same shape. They're the same plants. We'll do those. I added another one right there and another one right there. And kind of blend those back in with these little kind of moon shapes on the edge. Coming around. Coming around, coming around. And I will blend those back with the yellow. And I'm moving pretty quickly. Take your time on these. We'll do, kind of use the blues on this. So light blue, blue, and violet. The light blues are bottom shape. Light blue, filling most of that with the light blue. And then coming back with the darker blue and doing 2/3. And then the violet to do the 1/3 on the edge and kind of darken that up. There we go. Those are looking nice. And this is something you could practice if you want to do a practice over to the side before you do it on your final drawing. That's a good idea. So those look nice. And then over here, I'm going to use the the brighter colors. Orange is my base, orange, red, and the red is the darkest. And so maybe these have a little more brightness to them. 45 degrees again with the orange as my base. Do that light. The orange red, do 2/3 of the moon. And then the red coming back with the 1/3 of the moon. And just a reminder, if you don't recall what I'm talking about, the 2/3 of the moon and the 1/3. So the lightest color goes all the way across. The second color goes across 2/3 in kind of this moon shape, and I'm doing this one really fast. And then the darkest color goes over 1/3, and you're really trying to blend those together. And so that's what I mean. But take your time and kind of give them a little pop there. If you wanted to add a little yellow in on the orange, you could there for just a little more accent or a little more blending. That's good. And we just need to do our specimen tree. I'm going to use the technique I showed before with the yellow as the base. And just fill in that circle area completely with the yellow. I'm putting all the dark sides on the same angle. All the dark sides are over here, meaning the light's coming from this direction. And I'm going to come back with the light green for 2/3. And the darker green for 1/3. This one may take a few more blending because it's a little bigger. More detail, people can see more detail in it. Let me do so a little more blending in this one. Between these colors. It's good to put you can put the yellow back on top of everything, and then just add a little, layer it up a little at a time, and then add a few little bubbles and pepper with some reds and oranges. Alright, and that's the front yard rendered out with the plants. We're basically going to continue on to the backyard.